Welcome to Inside Out Talk Podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of our sponsors, partners, or affiliates. The information discussed in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Listeners should consult with a qualified professional before making any decisions based on the information discussed. We do not own the rights to any music or audio clips played during the podcast, and all rights belong to their respective owners. By listening to this podcast, you agree to hold harmless the hosts, guests, and producers from any claims, demands, or damages arising from the use of this podcast.
Good day, family. Yo, this is your boy Nkosana, and I just want to say welcome back to Inside Out Talk Podcast. I'm super grateful that you are here today with me, taking a moment out of your day to listen, to reflect, and to grow with me. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe many men experience but rarely speak about it openly. I want to talk about the pressure of being a man in a world where we were never taught how to say no. From the time we were young boys, many of us were taught one thing: we need to chase success, chase money, chase women, chase opportunities, chase respect, chase recognition. Everything in our upbringing pushed us towards chasing. Society celebrated the man who runs after things, the man who pushes, the man who conquers. And while there is nothing wrong with ambition, something important was missing in the lessons many of us received back then. We were never taught how to pause, bro. We were never taught how to protect our peace. We were never taught how to say no. And that's the most important thing, because I started reflecting on this recently and I realized that many men struggle not because they lack strength, but because they were never trained in boundaries. Think about it for a moment. Saying yes is easy. Anyone can say yes, but saying no requires discipline. It requires identity. It requires knowing who you are and knowing what you stand for. And for many men, that lesson comes much later in life. When we were boys, we admired the idea of chasing. We admired the idea of proving ourselves. We admired the idea of finally becoming successfully and respected. But what we didn't realize is that one day the tables might turn. One day the things we were chasing might start chasing us. Suddenly life begins to change. You get a stable job, you start building something meaningful. Maybe you buy your first car, maybe your finance begin to improve, maybe your confidence grow. And suddenly people see you differently. The same world that ignored you before now start paying attention. The same opportunity that were far away now starting coming closer. And sometimes even the people you used to chase start chasing you. Now here where the real test begins. Now listen, because when that moment comes, leadership is required, bro. Let me tell you something. It's no longer about chasing everything that appears in front of you. It becomes about choosing wisely. And that's where many men struggle, not because they are weak, not because they are bad men, you understand, but because no one ever sat down and taught them the power of saying no. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who is happily married. This friend of mine comes from a poor background. Life wasn't easy for him growing up, but one thing about him that he never allowed his circumstances to define him. He worked hard. He stayed focused. He built himself step by step. Now, today, his life looks different. He is more stable. He carries himself with confidence. And naturally, that kind of growth attracts attention. We all know that. He told me something interesting during our conversation. You understand? He said, "Brother, it's strange. When I had nothing, nobody noticed me. But now that my life is coming together, suddenly I'm being noticed in ways I never experienced before." You understand? And that's when I realized something. Growth attracts attention. When a man becomes disciplined, focused, and purposeful, people begin to see him differently. But attraction is not the reward. Attraction is the test. Because the real question is not whether opportunity will come your way. The real question is whether you have the character to handle them. My friend is learning how to navigate that reality. He is learning how to stay committed to his marriage. He is learning how to respect his values. He is learning how to say no to things that might look exciting in the moment but could destroy what he has built. And I admire that because saying no is not a weakness. Saying no is leadership. Sometimes when a man begins to develop boundaries, people around him say something interesting that they say, "You've changed." But I want to challenge that idea today. Maybe we haven't changed. Maybe we are simply evolving. Growth will always look like change to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Let me say that again. Growth will always look like change to people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. When you start protecting your time, people say you are distant. When you start protecting your peace, people say you are arrogant. When you start protecting your values, people say you are different. But the truth is, you are not becoming worse, you are becoming aware. And awareness is the beginning of leadership. For many of us, we didn't have fathers or uncles who sat us down and explained these things. Life taught us through mistakes. Life taught us through pain. Life taught us through moments where we said yes when we should have said no. But here's the good news. It's never too late to learn. It's never too late to redefine what it means to be a man. Being a man is not about chasing everything. Being a man is about choosing what aligns with your purpose. Being a man is about discipline. Being a man is about responsibility. Being a man is about protecting what truly matters in your life. Being a man is being healthy, And sometimes protecting what matters means saying no to things that could easily distract you. As a man, we must learn that leadership starts within. It starts with the way we think. It starts with the way we handle temptations. It starts with the way we treat people. And it starts with the courage to say, "This is who I am becoming, and not everything deserves access to my life." Maybe our generation wasn't taught these lessons early, but maybe we are the generation that will teach them to the next one. Maybe we are becoming the fathers who will teach our sons about discipline. Maybe we are becoming the leaders who will show other men that strength is not about dominance, but about self-control. You understand? We need to become the men who will raise a generation that understand both ambition and wisdom. So today I want to encourage every man listening to this. Your past does not define you, and it must not define you. Your mistakes do not disqualify you. Your growth should never be something you apologize for. Learn to say no. Learn to protect your peace. Learn to lead your life with intentions. Because the moment you learn that, you stop chasing everything and you start building a life that truly reflects the man you are becoming. Thank you for joining me today. Inside Out Talk, signing out.